Hello there, Only One Kenobi here, only one, and welcome back to the Vintage Collection Quick Shot series. I've been having a bit of a nightmare tonight because I've been doing all sorts of technical things. In my last video, I want to give a shout out to Marky D, who pointed out that maybe I need to change the aspect ratio or whatever you call it of the camera, because I noticed that my last video had these two bars on the top and they're still there. You'll notice them now. I can't get rid of them for the time being. I did change my aspect ratio to full screen before Marky, but still the app I'm using to edit, and I like to top and tail my videos. I like to have an intro and an outro. I got a little app for my new phone and it's giving me those bars. I can't get rid of them. I've changed the ratio on different specs and whatnot. I'm having trouble. So I will get around that. But for now, a lot of you said you didn't even notice them. So for now, bear with them. And we'll see if we can get rid of them altogether and have a nice clean shot in the future. So anyway, let's get on with this figure and card now. That's more important. I've taken the cloak off. I shall talk to you about the cloak in a minute. But this, first and foremost, this card back, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but it is my favourite Obi Wan card in the entire vintage collection. I mean, you can even count in the classic Ben cards there. I do love that Ben, and I'd love them to bring it. The old Ben, Alec Guinness with the blue lightsaber. That would be awesome if they could bring that back. Not really a massive fan of the yellow lightsaber one, but in terms of Ewan McGregor, if somebody said to me, right, you're going to meet Ewan McGregor tomorrow, take something with you to have signed, I would take this card back without question. It's brilliant. It's his best moment in the film. And obviously, if you look there, I'm going to show you the 1999, or one of them anyway. That figure there I'm going to show you. But if you look at the, I noticed just earlier with the com chip, it's the same image. It's a great it is a great publicity image, and they used a good one for Qui-Gon as well. That was my last upload yesterday. Check that out if you want to see the Qui-Gon review. This is episode 76 because it is 76 VC76 Obi Wan Kenobi, and there's a load of Phantom Menace figures coming up at them shortly. So that's why I'm going to take this opportunity to showcase some of the 1999 figures. And this is one that I really rate highly still. It's gone a bit yellow because it's been in a house. I do believe that I bought this figure when I was about 21, and then I moved off to London, and it was on a shelf in my old bedroom. And from knowing my mother, she would have had the windows open, the curtain open in that room, and I don't know where the sun shone. I'd have to go back in time to know that, but there's every possibility that this figure was getting doused in sun daily for 8 years. So that's probably why it's gone yellow now. It's not her fault. It's no one's fault. I'm just saying that now, knowing what we know about figures and yellowing, any room I have with figures in, I keep the curtain shut. But that, obviously, I know why that's like that. It's because it's been sat on a shelf, and it was in a time when I never thought about yellowing, and in a home where I had no control of curtains. I didn't even think about closing curtains back then. So there he is. The cloak is all right. The Qui-Gon looks better with the cloak on, to be honest with you, because his hair, you can kind of tuck away the hood. With this figure, I will put it on for you. Usually in this series, I'll just set the figure off and put him in a pose and then talk about the card. But since it's Obi-Wan, we'll go that bit further. I'll put him on for you, put the cloak on for you, and show you what I mean. It's a shame about the hood. It's really bouncy. Whilst I'm putting it on, I'll tell you what they could have done and should have done, really. They could have put in a little bit of a metal mesh into the hood so you could manipulate it, because it is quite bouncy. I'll show you what I mean. See, it sits up really a lot there. You could maybe tuck it underneath this plastic braid, but it doesn't really work. So what you want it to look like is something like that, and that's me manipulating it with my hands. That's what hoods look like when they fall with gravity. Hang on. Like that, you see? Am I focused here? Yeah, like that. But unfortunately, you can't. Watch. Pops up so much. So this is not necessarily my favourite figure in terms of it working with the cloak. It looks all right like that, just tucked behind him. But he looks better without, really, in all honesty. But that's a shame. I like Obi-Wan with his robe. So there you go. The figure, the facial sculpt of this, when I walked into Forbidden Planet, this was about 2012 it was. I remember walking into Forbidden Planet, and it was my first sighting of the vintage collection, my first awareness that it even existed. And it was the Phantom Menace line was out right then, so the shelves were full of all of these. Obi Wan was there, Qui-Gon, a few others, the Battle Droid I remember seeing, and Darth Maul. And I remember taking an interest in how it looked, the face for him, and I remember thinking, I don't think it looks as good as the one in 1999. I just thought that this one here had a really good facial sculpt. I mean, Ewan McGregor was in Trainspotting, as you all know, and this figure, this one in particular, this figure here, oh, come on. This figure in particular, I'm having trouble here. Bear with me, folks. This is like technical rehearsals, this one, mate. There you go. That's a bit better. It's not great. You can see that scowl, if that makes sense. He scowls a lot like that in Trainspotting. Mark Renton. So it wasn't long after he played that part, he was in this film and still had aspects of that young Ewan McGregor look. But yeah, this is all right. But let me just, if I can give you an idea of what this figure looks like. You know, talking about this the other day with somebody in the comment section, they got every potential and right to just redo the entire vintage collection and use the new facial tech. They could do. I wouldn't want them to do that because some figures I've spent a hell of a lot of money on. It'll be a bit bitter to see them re-release it for a retail price after I've spent a lot of money on them. But anyway, they could do it and they could make him a lot better than he is. It's all right. I mean, it's not too bad, is it really? Well, let me know what you think about it. I just thought that some of them are not as good as what they were when they first came out, which is outstanding. This was made 20 years ago and I thought it looked better. But anyway, there you go. So that's all I can tell you, other than the back is not so interesting anymore. This is the period where, gone are the days where they had the history lessons are gone now at this stage of the vintage collection. All you get is pretty much every card back looks the same. You get that vehicle thing at the base and then you get the 12 back. That's quite nice. You got the 12 back card back or whatever they call it. That's the whole wave or the whole series of Phantom Menace characters, which is nice. That's a bit of a nod to the 80s and 70s or whatever. But yeah, apart from that, it's all about the front of the card. That's a brilliant, brilliant image of Ewan McGregor. Really like it a lot. The other thing I want to talk to you about is, remember this Qui-Gon? I don't know if I told you about this, the figure that I last reviewed in the previous episode, 75. One thing I didn't tell you was that Qui-Gon comes with, it's quite funny really, they just didn't bother doing a new lightsaber for Qui-Gon. If we can just focus on it there. See that lightsaber there is the exact one they had in 1999 as well. You can see it, that's the same old hilt. And I'm going to pan down now to the, I'll show you there. There's the lightsaber for Obi, and here it is here. But what I'll put next to it is the 1999 one. So what the difference is that, well, the hilt's been redone as well, but there's no flare on it. They never used to have a flare on. In fact, I think they've gone back to doing that. They've got rid of the flares altogether. But what I'm trying to say is that this Qui-Gon one has no flare on it. It's just they redid the lightsaber without updating it, whereas they updated that one. They gave it some flair, if you want to call it flair, whatever. It's quite ironic that, because Kylo Ren has flares all over his lightsabers, doesn't he? Look at the cracked crystal or whatever. Who knows? Anyway, that's all there is to say. Thank you for watching. If you're new around here, please do be sure to subscribe. And I will leave a link to the whole quick shot series. We're on number 76, and my mission is to get through. That's why I was determined to do this video tonight. Get through, and so we can get the whole thing done, hopefully by the end of the year. Thank you for watching. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one.